Hey guys, today we're going to be rebuilding the door hinges. First thing you're going to want to do is fold the door hinge the other direction again. Now with 2 screwdrivers, you can pry down with one and retain with the other. Remember to keep your fingers out of the way because the spring may jump up and hit you. Now with the spring removed, we can work on removing the pin. For this, you will need a hammer, a 1/4-inch punch, and 1/2-inch deep socket. Set your 1/2-inch deep socket up on the floor. Place this pin over the hole. Line your punch up on the top and use a hammer to punch it out. You may need to remove the socket to finish driving the pin out. Now you can take your 1/4-inch punch, place it in at an angle, and drive out your nylon bushings. Check your nylon bushings in case they have worn all the way through. If they have, you may need to replace your lower hinge assembly. Ours look okay, so we're not going to have to replace the hinge, thank goodness. Check your detent arm assembly by wiggling it on the 3 pins. The small arm tends to get slotted, while the center pin tends to get loose. If your small arm is slotted, that may be why your door may be making a popping sound. The middle can be tightened up by using a vise or anvil tightening assembly. The lower hinge tends to take most of the abuse. Sadly, this is where they put the nylon bushings. Now with our lower hinges disassembled, we can now make repairs. We have purchased Made in America pins and bushings. These bushings are made out of bronze instead of plastic. To fix the center pin, you're going to place the head on an anvil and take a rounded off chisel and place it on the other end and smash it, making it flush again. Now after tightening up the center pin, we are going to sandblast them. Now it's time for us to disassemble the upper door hinges. Removing these pins can be a pain because they are peened over. To do this, we are going to use a whiz wheel and remove the peens. You will have to be very careful when cutting off the peens, so you do not damage the door hinge. Once again, we're going to use our hammer, our 1/4-inch punch, and 1/2-inch deep socket to take out this pin. Once you have the pin to this point, you can use the punch. You may have to remove your socket in case it bottoms out inside. Now that we have the pin out, we can remove the bushings. If your bushings are nylon, another way to take them out is to use a standard screwdriver and pry them out. This is what door hinges look like when they are completely torn apart. Now we're going to take the good pieces out for sandblasting. Alright guys, now we are at National Nostalgic Nova to use the sandblaster. So we're first going to take the pieces and set them in. Alright, now that we have the pieces set in there, we can start working on them. Now we are going to take them out of the sandblaster and lay them out for paint. Alright guys, well we got them painted with some epoxy primer, then sanded and scuffed them up, sanded down any pitting that we had to get as flat as we could without sanding through the primer, then scuffed them up everywhere else, and now it's time for us to reinstall the hinge pins with these brass bushings. Now we insert the bushings in each side, and then you carefully can tap them down. Sometimes there are some burrs you have to remove from the metal. This may be a tight fit, but they will go together. Now we can reinstall the pin. We are reusing them because they are in very nice shape. Once again, we use a 7/16 socket. To drive the pin through, we used a 1/4-inch punch most of the way, but when it bottomed out, we used a socket and a 1/2-inch drive extension to finish driving it the rest of the way through. Now we can assemble the upper door hinges. We do the same thing as we did for the lower ones. Be careful when reassembling them and that you put them in the correct orientation. That won't fly. This is the correct way. Be sure to reinstall the pins the same orientation that they came out. Once again, we will use our 7/16 socket. Here's the completed piece. We're going to move on to doing the other one now. Now that we have them together, we're going to prepare to put a tack weld where the knurls used to be. If you're going for concourse restoration, then you can put a tack weld on the other side and use metal working tools to make it look like they're actually what they're supposed to be. Hi guys, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing. Anyway, we'll see you next time.